En mörk uendelig vildmark.
Welcome to Views from the World Tree. On today's episode, we take a journey around the world and look at fun traditions that many different people have in celebrating the holidays. And now, on with the show.
Under en himmellag.
This week, personal news. I have finally found some shows that I like on Discovery Plus. And one of them is called Secrets of the Viking Stone. I don't know. Have you watched that one yet? As you're taking a drink.
Yeah, I know, right? How rude. I watched the first episode, I think, if it's the one I'm
Okay.
thinking of. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Basic premise, in Kensington, Minnesota, a Swedish immigrant found
Minnesota.
found a rune stone while he was taking down trees, and the Swedish actor, I don't remember his name, but he played the wood chipper guy in the movie Fargo.
I never saw that movie, actually. Oh, yeah, sorry. I was thinking of the Netflix series. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
No, I haven't seen the TV series, but the actual movie.
Yeah.
He's kind of coming around and trying to disprove the professionals, like the archaeologists and everybody, that's basically saying, oh, this was a hoax, this guy faked it, this guy faked it, this guy faked it. And so he's looking for actual evidence that the Norse explorers, traders made it as far as Minnesota. And so it's got archaeology, it's got history, it's got conspiracy, it's got a bunch of over-the-top information, and like everything on the History Channel, Science Channel, Discovery Channel, if they can't explain it, they basically say it was the Templars. So, I mean, so that's what I've been watching, and I have two takeaways. There's a part of me that believes that this runestone is real because this guy found it in the 1890s.
That's a little bit ago.
It was a while ago. It was basically disproven. It's a hoax. But on one of the runes, there's a dotted R, and everybody's like, oh, he made a typo, because a dotted R doesn't exist. And then not until about 1930, there was a excavation in England where they found a dotted R. And there was no way, everybody thought that this didn't exist. And then they find archaeological evidence that a dotted R does exist in the old runic language from Sweden. And they're going, well, how would this guy know? Maybe he just made a mistake and it was a lucky coincidence, because they still don't want to like admit that this guy may be right.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to know that they had made it that far. That's what they were, right? They were all about exploring and trading and seeing brave new worlds. So,
Well, it's interesting. They were making the point. The Great Lakes, I mean, before the Erie Canal, there wasn't any easy way to get to them, right? But it's all rivers and tributaries, and kind of like Russia, the Vikings were known to go to the headwaters of a river in their boats, pick up the boat, ford it to the next river, and keep on exploring. And we already know that they made it to Canada. Like, what says that they wouldn't have done the same thing in North America that they did in Russia?
Yeah, makes sense to me.
But my second takeaway from the show is this actor is from Sweden, and his co-investigator is from Minnesota, and they both have the same accent. And I I realized that basically Minnesota there's a reason why their football team's the Minnesota Vikings.
It's true. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Whether it was back then or more recently, there's definitely a high concentration of settlers from that
yeah,
part of the world.
it's kind of fun. I went to a Christmas mass at the Lutheran Church last year or 2 years. Would have been 2 years because last year was COVID. And I actually found out that here in Denver they do a Swedish mass. They do a Christmas Day mass in Swedish for all the expats that live here.
Nice. That would be cool to see.
Not something that I can go to because I don't understand Swedish, but it would still be kind of cool to go be a part of it, type of thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's see. So other than that, started going back to the gym. I don't normally wear tank tops when we record, but today I am because I went to the gym, and it's been nice to get back into it. I forgot how much it kind of calms me. So
Nice. I like it.
that's my news for the week.
So my news is not nearly as exciting or illuminating. The only thing really that's new for me, we picked up some new Lego sets, and my wife and I were doing some of those. We picked up a new Christmas themed one and decided to record us putting it together and threw it into a time lapse video. So it was kind of cool. It was fun to put it together, fun to watch it all come together at hyper speed. So might try doing some more of that.
Is that going to end up on the website or?
Yeah, it's on so my wife and I, like 3 years ago, started a YouTube channel that was supposed to be tabletop game themed, and then it never went anywhere. So that's where it is now. But yeah, I can link it on the website.
Yeah, that might be kind of fun. That I don't know. We already established last week that I like watching people fish. I might enjoy watching people build Legos.
True. Yep.
Yeah. So, how was it a hard set to put together, or was it kind of?
I don't know. It's supposedly one of their I don't know how many Lego nerds we have listening, but it's in the Lego Creator Expert Series. So it's of the pre-built sets that have instructions to follow. It's kind of as advanced as it gets, I guess. But you're still following, instructions with color photos and stuff. So it's not difficult in that sense, but it's got a lot of really cool little architectural details and stuff. It's a Christmas themed fire station. So there's
fun.
The fire station with a tower and a fireman's pole that they can slide down. There's a little fire engine, skating rink with a hockey tournament going on.
That sounds awesome, actually.
We really like them. They're really detailed.
I did one in the modeling series, so not the experts pack, but the modelers pack.
Mm-hmm.
And it is amazing the detail that you can get with just simple interlocking plastic bricks. One of my favorite things to do when Comic-Con's in Denver is go see the Lego builders. So
yeah, it's a fun little hobby. A little bit spendy, but I don't know. It's kind of like when I was a kid, I used to put models together. So it scratches that same itch, but you don't have to worry about punching out all the little pieces and having glue, and you can start it and then set it aside and come back to it later. So it's convenient for somebody who has a busy schedule.
That sounds fun. Yeah. I can't wait to see that video.
Yeah, I'll put it up with the show notes.
Cool. Anything else? Sorry, I feel like
No, that was it. It was a pretty chill week, so not too much else going on.
You're not even going to mention your first snow or any of that fun stuff?
Oh, yeah, we got our first snow here at the house, so
Half the country is still waiting for theirs.
I know. So we've got a winter storm watch for this weekend too. So
Oh, nice.
we'll see what that brings. Yeah, it was fun to go play in the snow, and it was our puppy's first time seeing snow, so it was fun to watch her go play, catching the snowflakes and stuff in her mouth. But it was just one of those
like
that
the first snow. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you in.
It, there was a dusting of snow, maybe half an inch, and then it was gone by that evening. So
half an inch is better than 0.
Yes, agreed.
We're technically supposed to get some tonight going into tomorrow, but they keep pushing it forward, pushing it back, pushing it forward. So I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully soon.
Yeah. We know that Colorado definitely needs it. You guys need it too. I think you all got hit pretty hard with fires.
Yeah, I think everywhere needs it right now. Maybe not some places back east. I don't know. I haven't been paying too close attention, but
yeah. I had a client of mine. I was complaining about snow the other day, going, "Oh man, I just need to see it. I just need to see it." He said, "Well, drive up to Wyoming." I said, "They don't have snow." Then he said, "Well, then drive up to Montana." No, they don't have snow either. Then drive up to Alberta. They might have snow, but it might take me a while to find it.
Yeah, don't go north, go up. Like elevation. That's the only place that has snow right now.
Yeah.
Sadly.
But I just think it was funny that he was giving me a little geography lesson. Just that way. Go that way.
I mean, you go far enough and you're going to hit it eventually. So he was right.
Yeah. I'm just more impressed that he knows the province of Alberta, which not very many Americans know the provinces of other countries. So,
I mean, I could name a few Canadian provinces, but I would not be able to tell you where they are. So I can tell you where Vancouver Island is because I'm a little bit addicted to that show on the History Channel, Alone.
Oh, I love that show.
And so they always do like the Google Earth, like pan and like zoom in to where they're at. So that's the only reason I know where Vancouver is.
If I was not deathly afraid of grizzly bears, I would go on that show as a contestant. But like, I'd probably be like that guy from the first season that was just sitting there and heard the bears outside of his tent and went, "No, this sucks. I'm out."
Hell, even he got his 15 minutes though. So
that's true. But I honestly, those shows, I don't think I would do it for my 15 minutes of fame. I honestly think that I'd do it just to see what I know.
Yeah. I think it would be a lot of fun. I don't know. Obviously, it's hard to put real life on hold for hopefully up to 2 or 3 months and go do that. But I think it would be fun. My wife keeps telling me I need to go try it, at least audition for it.
If they ever do a team challenge, let's do it.
Yeah, we could.
They
did that the one season where they had teams and you had to like hike, like one person got dropped off in the spot. The other person had to hike to the spot.
Oh, that's interesting. Kind of a orienteering challenge.
Yeah, I want to say it was like the 3rd or 4th season. So that one was interesting to watch. But
yeah, I'd do that. If they do teams again, I'd audition with you.
That would be fun. I also told my wife that if we were allowed to bring a dog, then like the whole being lonely thing would not be an issue whatsoever.
Right.
Like you have a loyal dog or something to stay with you. Maybe it's just me being antisocial, but I don't need people.
Your teeny dogs though, man, that's gray wolf. feed. Let's be honest.
It's true. It's true.
You'd better sleep with that dog against your chest and make sure it's quiet during the night.
Yeah, even the big one's only 40 pounds, so.
They are cute dogs, though. The pictures
They
that
are.
we share. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I guess on to current events. I've been struggling a lot with finding good news because everything I seem to read is all about the January 6th thing or the different variants of COVID or all of that. And it's so charged and it's so hard to find something to share because we try to keep the news kind of politically neutral. And we try to make it the news that the networks don't share because, let's face it, the networks just love to get clicks or get views. And right now, violence is what sells.
It's true. Yeah.
But I found a story about a guy in Florida, actually, and he created a nonprofit called Take a Kid Fishing Incorporated. Interesting to incorporate a nonprofit, but that's besides the point. But basically, the whole premise is he works with like boys and girls clubs. He works with inner city clubs, and these kids that don't have fathers, he takes them out onto the ocean and teaches them how to fish, spends the day with them, teaches them how to bait a hook, what kind of lures to use, what kind of knots to tie, how to land a fish. I mean, I have to admit, I've never been fishing on the ocean, and I have no idea if I could land one of those big, like 120-pound fish that people catch out there.
Like the big halibuts and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, what a cool idea to take these kids that would never have the chance. Either they're too deep in the city or like absent fathers or dead fathers or anything like that, and take them fishing and kind of show them how to do it, give them a skill that not only helps them survive, but also a hobby that just, I don't know. It's almost like meditation when I go out and fish. I can put a line in the water. Sometimes I'll even take my fishing line out there and just cast it out there with nothing on the hook because I don't want to reel in a fish. But it gives me a chance to sit out there and not have to think about the day.
Yeah, it is very therapeutic. I know. So one nonprofit that is kind of the same thing. We'll do fishing trips with disabled veterans because it's actually been shown to be a very effective way of fighting like PTSD and stuff like that. It's very therapeutic just to get out in nature and sit there and, even like you said, even if you're not interested in actually catching a fish, just being on the water or next to the water and just being present. Like, honestly, it's some of the best times I've had have been on a fishing trip, and not all of them have involved catching fish. So
Oh yeah,
I would echo what you said.
it's one of my favorite things. Didn't the Duck Dynasty guys do that after our second invasion of Iraq? Didn't they take disabled vets out hunting and fishing and stuff?
It's possible. I don't know. There was a local organization that did it in Utah where I was living until recently. That has been my experience with it, but I know there's groups that do it all over the place. So, but yeah, it's really rewarding just to, get out there and especially with people that either would not be inclined to or wouldn't have the means to do it themselves.
I don't want to give too much of my personal story away. I feel like I've kind of given you all enough to dox me already. But growing up, I grew up without a father. And if it weren't for family friends and my friends' parents and my uncles, plural, taking me out camping, fishing, hunting, I would have never had the opportunities to do so. And it really, it did two things for me. It showed me, A, that people do care, and it gave me that love of the outdoors that not everybody gets to experience. So I honestly think if it weren't for people doing this without an organization that does it, but without people doing this, that I never would have learned how much I loved the outdoors. And I just love the idea of nonprofits that take veterans out or take young people, men, women, boys, girls that wouldn't have the opportunity to go experience the outdoors outside. So,
Yeah, agreed.
all righty, sir.
So I don't know if I can follow that with what I had earmarked for my news, but
You're good.
I was trying to find something just totally like, I mean, recently a lot of the news that I've brought has been like climate change oriented and stuff. And I know that that can be kind of a downer for some people. And so I was trying to go with something just totally off the wall. And as I'm sure most people have gleaned, I enjoy playing video games and I enjoy technology. And there's a new product that was just announced by a company called Razer. That's Razer, that makes gaming peripherals. So they make like gaming keyboards and mice. And there's a bit of a meme in the industry that, yeah, there you go. There's one of their mice right there. That's a bit of a meme in the industry that everything has to have RGB lighting right now for it to be, a gamer device. And so Razer has come out with what they're calling the phone cooler chroma. So chroma being the chromatic color changing LEDs, and it's a phone cooler. So this one's made for the iPhone, but they have one for Android. And starting with the iPhone 12, I think Apple did something called MagSafe, where you have accessories that attach to the back with a magnet. And that's what this cooler is. So it attaches to the back of your phone with a magnet, and then it has a power cord that plugs into it, and it has a fan that cools your phone so that you can play video games. See if I have a way to. I don't know if I have a good way to put up a picture. Oh, I can put it over your picture on the stream, maybe.
Yeah, that's fine. Just cover my face.
Nope, actually, let me do that. Yeah, I won't be able to put a picture up on it. Sorry. But I'll put the link in the show notes. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of cool, kind of off the wall, a little bit ridiculous. I mean, I do enjoy playing a few smartphone games. So honestly, I was thinking about picking it up, but where I'm working from home right now, probably wouldn't get a lot of use. But I mean, if you're commuting and you like to play, intense games or hardware intensive games, could be interesting.
I'm trying to think. I do Settlers of Catan and chess on my phone. Those are really the only two games that I play, so I don't know.
Yeah, the one game that I play that could, well, I guess the two games that could benefit would be Hearthstone and Civilization. I play on my phone a lot, so.
Oh, I haven't played the mobile version of Civ. Is it?
It's Civ 6, so it's the newer UI that would, it lends itself really well to like a touchscreen. So it's definitely beefy as far as hardware, but it's a lot of fun. I like it. So anyway, take the picture down.
I just looked over at speaking of that, my phone, I'm watching our stream on my phone so I can see if anybody pops in the chat room. That is a cool looking little
hockey puck.
hockey puck, yeah, and it's got that multicolored facet that Razor's known for.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that was my current event.
Actually, now that I look at the screen, I feel like I need to sit on this side and pretend like I'm looking at you so we balance it out. Well, I guess with current events and personal news done, it might be time to jump into the meat and potatoes of our show.
Yeah, let's do it. I like meat and potatoes.
Yeah, me too. So as we were going over show notes for this month and trying to figure out how we were going to end our first season of the podcast, we kind of decided to do a fun look at traditions around the world, and there's some fun ones, but I thought it might be kind of fun to. Sorry, I'm realizing that I'm kind of off camera. I thought it would be fun to kind of go over any family traditions that you had growing up, or even recently, now that you're married, and kind of forging your new traditions, because every tradition starts somewhere. So
it's true. Yeah, so I kind of alluded to it earlier, but my wife and I kind of inadvertently started a new tradition where with the Lego sets. So every year, Lego puts out a new holiday themed set with these. I mean, they do a couple different ones, but we like to get these the creator expert ones that I was talking about. And so the first year that we were married, I don't remember if we bought it or if somebody gave it to us. And if you did give it to us, I apologize. But I have a terrible memory for things like that. And it was a little gingerbread house. And it was just a lot of fun to, like, you know, with all the, I mean, the holiday has changed over the years and is, I don't really, if I'm being honest, Christmas is not my favorite holiday. It's just stressful for me. So it's nice to just sit and like tune everything out and put together a Lego set with your significant other, your family. And then what we have been doing is slowly collecting these over the years, because they release them usually in October or November, and they'll make it for at most 2 years. Like the really popular ones, they'll make for one holiday season and then they'll bring it back the next one. But after that, they're gone. So they're kind of a collectible item. And so we've been, you know, buying the new set every year. And it's been everything from like a train station to like a village Christmas party. There's a Christmas carousel that like actually moves around. And then one year was really cool. It was a train with like Lego tracks, and it came with the Lego motor and battery and like a little remote control. So you can actually drive the Lego train around. And so we had it like around the base of our tree.
that's fun.
But we've kind of just added to the collection every year. And one thing that my family always had, my grandma always had those like ceramic Christmas villages that you would like set up at all the different buildings and things. And so we have our own version of that, but it's all Lego. So we have this cool Lego Christmas village, and we like put lights in it and put fabric out so it looks like snow, and that's the bulk of our decorations inside every year. So
Just remember, if you start using super glue to make sure the Lego pieces don't move, you turn into a whole movie.
that's true. No, we haven't super glued them yet, and unfortunately, this season we had a little bit more rebuilding to do than normal. What with the move to Idaho,
yeah.
but we've got them all put back together now.
Well, there you go. I love Lego. I think that's a great idea. Growing up, my mom always gave me the put together the ceramic village, and so yeah, it's kind of fun. I think I would have preferred to build the village with Legos, because then it kind of changes from year to year, because you can add and take away things. But
Yeah. Well, and it's in some ways it's more fragile, but in other ways it's not, because you can put it back together.
right,
So
if a cat or a dog knocks over a Lego, you just grab the instructions and put it back together.
which is a very distinct possibility this year. So
right. Do it to some ceramics, and it might not go as well.
yeah. Yep. So I guess that's what I would have for traditions. So at least the interesting one.
Oh, I like it. My family, we don't have any fun like building traditions and stuff. But now that I'm married, we split our time between our families. So one year we'll go with my in-laws, the next year we'll go with my family and whatnot. But my family, we always had either one of two things on Christmas morning: either a coffee cake, which I absolutely love. There's something about caramelized sugar interspersed with bread that is just amazing. Or able skewers, which is a Danish kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like little pan fried dough balls that you hit with powdered sugar over the top, and they're amazing. But those were the two things that really stood out. Every Christmas morning after opening presents, we would have breakfast together, and it was kind of a nice tradition to just be together with your family. So
nice. I know that's one of the popular ones, doing the Christmas breakfast.
It is funny though, in regards to the able skewers. There's a website called I Love Denmark. It sells merchandise about Danish traditions and stuff, and they have a sweater that I really want to get. And it's got 3 Nisa, which are kind of land spirits. They kind of resemble gnomes from our like Western society. And it says Able Skeever Eating Team. And so, and I just, yeah, I kind of want it just because it's goofy, and I'm not sure how many people would understand it, but I would get a kick out of it every time I wore it. So
That would be cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my niece just got diagnosed with celiac, so I'm not sure how we'd be able to do it. Maybe we need to switch to the Norwegian lefse and start having potato flour bread instead of able skewers.
Yeah, I'm sure with modern culinary science, there's gluten-free versions of most things. So
Yeah, but have you tasted them?
that's true. It's not always the same.
Let's be honest. But
not always the same.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about our own personal family traditions, let's jump in. So kind of a travel around the world type of thing. You've got your traditional holidays. You've got Hanukkah, which is the Jewish festival of lights, I think it is. Kwanzaa. I actually don't know much about Kwanzaa. Do you know?
I don't, other than, yeah, I don't. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it when I was younger. I know it is African American, and now that I'm trying to recall, unfortunately, I can't think of much. It's interesting too that because when we were, or at least when I was younger, I remember in school learning about Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, and those were kind of the three that they talked. And this was, elementary school, like third, fourth grade.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like wonder why they picked those three. But I want to say it's, and this is probably my ignorance showing it. I seem to remember it being kind of similar to Hanukkah in that there was and I know it's not called a menorah, but some type of um, like a religious candle holder. It may have even had the same number of candles. I don't remember.
For some reason, I think there was less of them, but I like you said, I don't know.
But yeah, that's about all I can remember, unfortunately.
There you go. So the Festival of Lights and whatever Kwanzaa is, perhaps one of our listeners can fill us in. I don't know anybody that's ever celebrated Kwanzaa.
Here we go. So Kwanzaa celebrates what its founder called the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. So there are 7 candles. They stand for unity, self-determination, collective work, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. So
I don't mean to come across as rude or anything, but I always thought it was a made-up holiday, and now I kind of think that it's even more made up. But in all honesty, I mean, what holiday isn't made up to an extent? So
I know it came about in the 60s during a lot of the race tensions and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I want to say it was designed to be like an alternative to Christmas. And the founder created it because he believed that Christianity was more of a white religion, and that I'm quoting what he said. I'm not trying to be racist about it. That's what he said. And he said that black people should shun Christianity, and so he created Kwanzaa. But
Fair.
Anyway, yeah, that's my knowledge of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's more than I knew, so I'm actually kind of I'm happy that you were able to find something on it.
Yeah.
We have Yule, which is kind of an old Germanic festival surrounding the winter months, which we'll go deeper on next week for our episode then. Christmas. Also, something that most people that are listening to this, I assume, are familiar with. Boxing Day, which is a day for soccer.
Which makes all kinds of sense.
Yeah. My brother used to live in England, and he actually said that Boxing Day, like Christmas was for the family. He spent that day with the family, and then Boxing Day was to spend with your friends.
Okay.
And then the New Year's stuff. So those are kind of the holidays that wrap up the year. And some of them have some interesting traditions surrounding them. So do you want to take our first one?
Yeah. So starting off with Yule, the folklore that we had to talk about is the Yule Cat. And the Yule Cat is said to devour those that don't receive new clothes before the Advent, which sounds absolutely terrifying and maybe is the origin of the tradition of like giving people socks and pajamas for Christmas. I don't know.
I
Seems
actually
like
never
that's
thought
something.
about that. That could be.
It seems like something that I always got when I was a kid, right? So
Right, yeah. No, I never thought about that. Like, why do we give people socks and underwear on Christmas? I always just assumed it's because people don't buy those for themselves usually. Like, it's a last type of thing. You always buy the nice shirts, the nice ties, the nice sweaters, and always forget the necessities.
yeah, I mean it makes sense. Socks make sense because it's cold, but I don't know. It probably unrelated.
It actually it could be related. The little bit of research that I did into the Yule Cat, it it's an Icelandic thing, and they anthropologists believe that it came from farmers, from ranchers,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a way to make sure that their fresh spun wool from that year's season was used.
Okay.
And so you get all the sheep, you shear them, you spin the wool. The wool's bought. It's made into clothing, and in order to keep the farmers afloat, they started to tell stories about this cat that would come down from the volcanoes and devour people that didn't get new clothes. Um, which I can kind of see, but I can also see how it would kind of carry over to giving socks. Because I mean, up until recently, with like synthetic fabrics, socks were mostly made of wool.
Yeah.
So I think you're onto something.
Could be. Could be.
Some of the funniest traditions that I found in Catalonia, which is a region of Spain where Barcelona is. We could go into a whole show on why Catalonians hate the Spanish and all of that. But they have a tradition where they leave a figurine called El Caganer. Caganer. My Spanish is still horrible.
Yeah, the verb there is cagar, which is a bad word. So
Yes.
translates to the shitter.
Yes. In my show notes, I wrote it down as the pooper, but yes.
I scanned the notes, but I didn't notice that until just now, and I'm like, cagar. I know that word.
But the tradition here really made me laugh. Around this time, in Christianized nations, people put up these nativity scenes, which is a scene of Jesus's birth and all that. And the Catalonians have a tradition of there's a little ceramic figure that you can buy, and you can look it up. You can buy these little either traditional or more modern ceramic people with their trousers down around their ankles. They're squatting down. And it's basically taking a deuce in the nativity scene. And if you don't have one in your nativity scene, it's considered bad luck, and you have a year of bad luck. And so people will kind of put these everywhere. I saw pictures online of a caganar in front of a cathedral in Barcelona at one of their big public displays. So it's not just like a little folk tradition. It seems to be everywhere, and it's kind of, I think it's funny.
It's a little bit hilarious.
Again, people believe that it goes back to fertilizing the fields, that you have a plentiful harvest next year. But I just think it's a look at life is not something to be taken too seriously all the time.
True. Yeah.
So anyway, what about you? Do you have another one?
Yeah. So the one that, I'll be honest, some of the ones on this list I had not heard of before, but one that I had heard of before was Krampus. That's fairly ubiquitous these days. I'm pretty sure that I've seen Krampus holiday sweaters and stuff in Target. But Krampus is a kind of looks like a demon, I guess, like a horned creature with hooves. But he is supposed to team up with Saint Nicholas and go visit children earlier in the month. I want to say it's like the first week of December. And if you've been good, Saint Nicholas will reward you. And if you've been bad, then Krampus takes a birch switch to you and punishes you. So, but that was one that I have heard of.
Yeah, some of my friends, they go a little overboard on St. Krampus's Day. They love this tradition, and it's actually kind of interesting because a lot of them are metalheads. So I don't know if there's a connection between like heavy metal music and just kind of the darker side of of the holiday season.
It's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, but for those on the live show, I'm going to say I'm taking a quick break. I'm taking a quick break, Adam. I'll be right back.
Good. All right.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I will sit here and
entertain our viewers.
Yeah,
sing them a
song and dance. No, I'm not going to do that. I won't subject anybody to that. If you are watching live, a ghost has opened Steve's door. Revealing a bouquet of flowers and what looks to be a piece of wood leaning against the wall.
So we were on Krampus.
Yeah, you were talking about your metalhead friends and how they celebrate Krampusnacht.
I don't know that they celebrate it, but they definitely get a kick out of it. I think he's even burst into like horror movies and stuff. I'm not a big horror movie fan, but I feel I've seen him.
Yep, definitely. I mean, you look at pictures of the guy and you can see why.
Yeah.
Actually, just a quick Google tells me there's an actual Christmas movie called Krampus Unleashed. It has a terrifying picture of a horned demon holding Santa Claus in a Christmas like snow globe that like trapped in the snow globe. So it looks like the budget was about $50.
Sorry, my brain is thinking like the Santa Claus trilogy, like the person that accidentally kills Krampus must become the new devourer of unruly kids. Actually, that sounds kind of fun. Let's write it.
Fun stuff.
I guess I'll go back to Catalonia, Spain. they have a tradition. I need to find the right name because they have an interesting. It's called Tio de Nadal, which roughly translates to the Christmas log. Anglicized is the Christmas log because I think isn't that uncle?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't
Sure
know
is.
what uncle of, and I don't know what Nadal is. Maybe that's
Nadal with a D or with a T?
Nadal.
I don't remember. Natal is like Christmas or nativity. The only Nadal I know is the tennis player from Spain.
Right. Let's see. Nadal.
Oh, it means Christmas Day.
Oh, okay. So, uncle of Christmas.
Yeah, it is.
Or the Christmas uncle.
It says it's a Catalan word rather than traditional Spanish.
That makes sense since this is another Barcelonian tradition. Basically, this is a log with legs. They have a face that they paint on this Christmas log, and they adorn it with this red hat. And they make the log look like it is a dog taking a number 2.
Of course they do.
But instead of defecating nastiness, it defecates presents for all the good boys and girls. All right, I don't know what it is about Catalan, Spain, but it seems like they have a strange fascination with things, bodily functions.
If we do have any listeners over there, I'm going to need you to write us an email.
Yes,
Tell
please.
us what is up. Yeah.
And also, if we're getting anything wrong, I just did a cursory Google search of fun traditions that were kind of out of the normal. If you have some insights on what these traditions actually are, because Google makes it sound like it's a huge thing, but it's probably just this small cultural, kind of like hanging stockings in America is a thing. So,
yeah.
Anyway, on to you.
So next on the list, this I had not heard of either. It is essentially dead horse caroling. And the practice is, and I'm not up to date on my Welsh pronunciations, but Mary Lwyd, Lwyd.
I think I just presume it's Mari Lwyd. Lwyd. Yeah, I think the Y is a U, kind of like the Danish.
Mari Lwyd. Anyway, it brings good luck to, or it's said to bring good luck. And basically one person dresses as a horse with a dead horse's skull. Sometimes it's mounted on a pole and carried by somebody who's got a cloth or a sack over them. And they go house to house and get presents and drink, because that is the only way that this would make sense, is if you were drunk. So
I was going to say, that sounds very Welsh, actually.
Yeah. Yes. Sounds like a good time. From what I could see, it was first recorded in 1800, but it's thought to probably be a little bit earlier than that as far as when it originated. So personally, if the skull of a dead horse that was on a stick 10 feet above the ground knocked on my front door, I I would become El Caganar.
I see what you did there. I like it.
Brought it full circle.
I actually kind of like the idea of this tradition. I mean, I'm not a good singer, but I think if you turn it into a party with like somebody dressing up in costume, it might be just one of those things. Just go around and have fun.
Yeah.
But oh man. So the next one I have is from Ukraine. I was taught you're not allowed to call it the Ukraine. It's just Ukraine.
Yeah. I learned something today. I was today years old when.
But so it comes from Ukraine, and there's a tradition in Ukraine. I still want to call it the Ukraine. I don't know why. Where they decorate their trees with spider webs, kind of like we would do for Halloween, and like spread out the cotton and create these spider webs. And the legend goes that there was a poor family that couldn't afford decorations for their trees, and they cut down a tree and brought it into their house. And Christmas spiders came during the night and had spun webs all over the tree, and the tree glistened in the lights, and it made it look beautiful. And so now, today, as this legend has kind of grown, people in the Ukraine, some people in the Ukraine, I shouldn't say people, some people decorate their trees with spider webs, kind of, and it's interesting. It kind of looks like that silvery garland stuff that you see in the old 1920s things where they throw pieces of tin up on it. It kind of has that look of just this fresh, dewy spider web on it, and I think it's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So next on the list we have the Yule goat, or the Yulebach, and this is the last one on the list that I am familiar with. It's a Scandinavian or Northern European symbol / tradition, probably Scandinavian, Germanic, pagan in origin, and it goes back to pagan festivals of Yule and is connected to worship of the Norse god Thor. Thor was said to ride across the sky in this big chariot that was pulled by two goats, Tangrisnir and Tangnoster, I think. And then the goats were magical in the sense that Thor could kill and eat them, and they would return every day. So, as far as like how that connects to modern Yule traditions, I couldn't say. I can tell you that I know in Sweden they have a giant straw goat every year that they will erect in the city square, and it gets burned as a bonfire. And actually, I have a little one right here on my desk that if you are watching live or watching the YouTube, you can see. So that's what they look like. Did I miss anything about the Yule goat?
No, I think you got it. I know traditionally it's the first grains of the harvest season are used to make them, and it's kind of burned as a sacrifice as the days get shorter, to make sure that your the field is, the gods are appeased and the fields rejuvenate for next year's harvest. But I think you basically got it all.
Cool.
By the way, some of those giant city Yule goats in Sweden just look phenomenal.
Yes.
Just huge, 2-story tall, wheat-haired goats.
Yeah. When I say or when we say big, we mean literally big. Very large, 60
Yeah,
feet high.
I would love to go to a Yule festival and just be there for the bonfire, and I think that would be fun one year.
That would be fun. And they always have red ribbons too. I know if you see the video, you can see that, but the straw is always held together by red ribbons. So I guess I should say that for our audio listeners.
Right. I actually don't know where the red came from. I mean,
Not sure either. Maybe if it's supposed to represent an animal sacrifice, maybe that's where it is from.
oh, that's possible. In Denmark, there's a tradition that goes back to, they say Hans Christian Andersen is one of the first to write about it, but they create these little woven baskets that are white and red during the holiday season, called julehirter, which basically, and my pronunciation may be wrong on that, but it's basically a Christmas heart that they decorate their trees from. And so I know red is a very strong color in Scandinavian tradition.
It's true. Yeah.
So another thing to research as we cast these views from our world tree. Sorry.
Very nice. I like it.
Speaking of other Scandinavian traditions, I added the Tomte and the Nisse into this, and we kind of, when I was talking about Edelskivers, we kind of covered them a little bit, but these are little land spirits, and in Denmark, in the more rural areas of Denmark, there's still a tradition that it's not Santa Claus that comes and brings you gifts. It's these land spirits. It's these Nisse that come and do it. So actually, if you go into Google Translate and type in Nissen, which means the Nisse, because of Scandinavian, the way they conjugate their verbs or their nouns there. But Nissen, if you do it, it'll actually translate that into Santa Claus, which is not what it is, but that's how Google Translate will translate Nissen into English. So
That's kind of cool.
yeah.
Before we jump on, I'm going to now take my turn to step away for a minute.
Okay, you're good.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
I can see why live radio shows have commercial breaks.
Right. It's a little bit easier when we're not broadcasting live at the same time.
Yeah. Just really quick before we move on from the Nisse, I've noticed a bit of a resurgence lately in modern days with these little dudes. They are really becoming popular, especially around the holidays. So it's kind of cool to see a return to the old ways, I guess. Return to kind of the more traditional symbols of the season. So,
oh yeah, if you go to my mom's house, she is covered. Her there's Nisse and Tomte everywhere around her house. So
yeah, we have my wife and I have a friend who does artwork, and she sells like little stickers and holiday cards and stuff, and she has a whole series of Nisse, Tomte cards and ornaments and stickers, and yeah, so definitely becoming popular.
yeah.
Or maybe they've always been popular and I just never noticed. I don't know.
I don't know. My mom went and spent the Christmas with my brother in Germany, and she said that their very popular there, and I kind of assumed that it, like everything, it kind of comes in waves, right? But I do feel like they've probably always been around. I know I had seen them, but I wasn't aware of their name or their meaning up until maybe 3 or 4 years ago when they started to make it over to the Americas once again. So
Yeah.
anyway, I know it's starting to get a little long, so there's really just two left, and one of them is one of the goofiest things in the world, and I don't know if you've heard about this, but Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I have not. I was intrigued when I saw it in the show notes. So,
In Japan, it is a tradition to have your holiday dinner be Kentucky Fried Chicken.
really,
And I went, why? It's some of the greasiest, most disgusting chicken that I've ever had in my life. Like, why is this such a big thing? And as I was researching it and looking into it, I found that people will actually put in their orders 2-3 months ahead of time to make sure that they have their KFC ready for Christmas Day.
that is interesting. Like, I'm just, yeah, intrigued in so many ways.
All right. So the story is businessmen that had to spend the holidays away from their home country, businessmen, visitors, expats that were staying in Japan over the Christmas holidays, wanted something that reminded them of home. And the closest thing that Japan had was Kentucky Fried Chicken. And so it became a thing where foreigners would go get their Christmas dinner at KFC because chicken and whatnot just reminded them of home to an extent. So a way to get around the homesickness. And now it's become kind of a status symbol where people would order it to say, hey, I've got friends that aren't from this country. Like, look at me, look how fancy I am. And now it's turned into this tradition of, let's go have ourselves some KFC on Christmas Day. And it's taken off. So it's a relatively new tradition, but I'm fascinated at the whole idea of KFC on Thanksgiving or on Christmas Day.
That is really interesting. And I guess it kind of makes sense when, hearing the history behind it. I guess they didn't have McDonald's at the time.
Yeah, it makes me smile because I've got some friends that are Jewish and like grew up in New York, and for them Christmas Day dinner is Chinese restaurants because that's the only restaurant that's open on Christmas.
Yeah.
In New York City. And so it's just funny how these little regional traditions start and kind of continue.
True. Yeah. That's going back to family traditions. Now that you mentioned that, my wife's family, that is their Christmas tradition, is going out to dinner on Christmas Eve to a Chinese restaurant.
There you go.
So anyway.
Out of curiosity, is your wife's family East Coast in origin, or how did they come to that?
Nope. They so they grew up my wife grew up in a few different places, but when we met, her family was living in Ephraim, Utah, which I don't mind saying because they don't live there anymore. But it's very small, rural agricultural community. One stoplight. And literally that was the only restaurant that was open on Christmas Eve, was a restaurant called Snow Dragon down there in Ephraim. So
having gone to college in Ephraim, I can say the fact that there's even a single restaurant in Ephraim, let alone one that's open.
Yeah, it's a small town. You blink and you miss it, literally.
Yeah.
So
It's got a college, but the college, when it's in session, probably triples the size of the town.
at least, yeah.
So,
There's a lot of places like that in out here in the West, between California and the Rockies.
yeah.
Anyway, so I guess the last tradition we have on the list is La Befana in Italy. And Befana is an old woman, like an ugly old hag, that controls the gifts. She is said to deliver gifts to children all throughout Italy on Epiphany Eve, which is the night of January 5th. So just a bit of history. You have the Nativity, which is when they celebrate the birth of Jesus, and then the Epiphany is when he was revealed to be the Messiah, when the three wise men arrived and fulfilled the prophecy. Anyway, so Epiphany Eve is January 5th, and that's when La Befana goes around Italy distributing gifts. And in popular folklore, the parents leave out broccoli and wine for her in order to appease her spirit. So, not milk and cookies, broccoli and wine. Maybe that's why she's like an ugly old hag. I mean, if I had to live on broccoli, then yeah.
I don't mind broccoli, but raw broccoli, man. Maybe she's just ugly because she's got green stuff in her teeth.
Maybe. It's funny you say that. I'm the opposite way. I can do raw broccoli with like a little bit of ranch dressing, but cooked broccoli, I cannot stand it.
Gotcha. I do find it interesting looking at a lot of these traditions. And I think we'll probably cover it a little bit more next week. I keep hinting at next week. When we talk about kind of the pre-Christian traditions that gave us a lot of these, the offering of gifts to this old hag, the offering of gifts to, you'll see it a lot, milk and cookies, like you said, a lot of things, lifts, able skewers, that type of stuff. There's a lot of food and offerings and stuff to nature spirits. And I just find it interesting that as the Western world has become more Christianized, that we still follow these traditions of leaving things out for the spirits of the land, though we would never say that, or many would not say that today, for fear of being labeled against the church. But I do find it interesting that those still permeate society.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But our show has gone for quite a while. We should probably take a moment for our mindfulness and wrap things up. So I guess since it was kind of my week to do the research and my week to do the mindfulness moment, I'll go ahead and read this one.
Okay.
This actually came from the website Learn Religions, which takes it looks at different faiths from around the world and kind of breaks them down. But I found this poem that was written about Yule, and it kind of reads, "Beneath the tree of light and life, a blessing at the season of Yule. To all that sit at my hearth, today we are brothers, we are family, and I drink to your health. Today we do not fight, we bear no one ill will. Today is a day to offer hospitality to all that crossed my threshold in the name of the season." So it may be less of a poem and maybe more of like a prayer or whatnot. But as I was looking at it, and I was trying to find something that kind of honored everybody's beliefs, because I mean, the more we reach out and embrace each other, the more likely we are to get along and find common commonalities. And I really like this one because it basically says what we've all been brought up to believe in some way or another. Like, this is the time for peace, the time to welcome each other as friends and family and share our food, share our drink, share our customs with each other, and kind of put down our weapons for the season and be nice to each other. So that's why I chose that one.
Yeah, I like it. That message of coming together, focusing on what unites us instead of divides us is, like you said, regardless of what religion or belief you may ascribe to, I think is something that, everybody can get behind. So, and there you see in the news a lot, it really makes me sad when you see people talking about like the war on Christmas and saying happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas, and just the bitterness associated with that. Like, regardless of what you personally believe, somebody is wishing you, glad tidings or season's greetings. It's coming from a place of love. And so I think in general, we as a society need to focus more on the positive and on what we have in common, because there's always going to be differences between people. And if you focus on that, it's just going to drive people apart. And that's the last thing we need in this world right now.
That's perfect. Well, cousin of mine, good Yule.
Yeah, likewise. So thanks everybody for tuning in and listening as we looked at some of the holiday traditions from some of the more lesser known parts of the world. Join us next week and we'll take a celebration for the longest night of the year by sharing some of the origins of Yule and some of the modern day celebrations of winter solstice.
Uncensored.